king has his reign.
As I already said in probably all the previous Alien reviews, I do like the first Alien movie very much, and that mostly because of a simple reason. The alien is very otherworldly. Well, it's alien. We don't know much about it, we don't know where it is from, what it wants, what it thinks, if it even does so. It's mysterious and we only know it's dangerous. So Prometheus, being the origin story of the alien, is already having a bad stand with me. When it was announced back in the day, they also made a mystery if this is even an alien movie. When I eventually came around to watch it, I think I already knew that it was indeed an alien prequel, and I didn't like it when I watched it. I remember it being quite boring and getting silly at some point, but as I am rewatching all the alien movies now, did my opinion change? Did I like it more? Did the short films that were created for this movie improve the experience? Well, that question I can already answer. The shorts don't improve the movie that much. There is one TED talk by the Wayland CEO that's kind of interesting. The others are more teasing what is coming, which makes sense as the shorts work as additional ads for the movie. But let's talk about the movie itself, shall we? After all these years, these decades, the master himself returned to one of the defining sci-fi and horror franchises to give it another shot. Having made the first and best Alien movie in my opinion, I did have high expectations, even though I lowered them on this watch, which made it better, I would say. With Ridley Scott comes also a great visual style and production value. Cheap this movie surely ain't, which we don't only see in the great effects and sets that are shown, but also the pretty solid cast, even though some of the actors are not used the best, I would say. We have Michael Fassbender as David, an android or synthetic person, Noomi Rapace as the final girl and the scientist who is looking for the origins of mankind together with her husband Logan Marshall Green, who is also there. Idris Elba joins the cast as captain of the Prometheus. Charlize Theron as a Wayland Corporation employee is also here. Guy Pearce as Peter Wayland himself in a really odd role in which he is seemingly a billion years old and looks like he has aged to the point that he looks like a guy in his 40s who has terrible old people makeup on and prosthetics. And a bunch of British guys are also here. I mean, we do need some alien fodder, I guess. As I said, some of these characters are really underutilized, especially Guy Pearce and Charlize Theron, which could have been used so much better and are just kind of wasted to the point that I ask myself why they even bothered getting name actors for these roles. But let's talk about the plot. It starts with a pale, giant human-like figure that is attacked by some black goo and dies falling down a waterfall in 2089. An expedition finds a star map in Scotland, causing them to start a journey into space to find the origins of the creation of humanity. Elizabeth Shaw and her boyfriend are leading the space journey, sponsored by Wayland Yutani with a crew of astronauts, scientists, workers and Wayland personnel, including Charlize Theron's character, who is a cold Wayland corporate. Soon they find traces of the so-called engineers, a race of superior intellectual beings that have already traveled through space for a long time, and which Elizabeth is suspecting have created humanity or even Earth itself. They soon also find the base of the engineers, but what they find is also death. Something killed the engineers, it seems, and soon they are also in contact with another alien life form, which looks like an eel and can infect other organisms. After they made their discoveries, the movie unfortunately just turns into a dumber, worse version of Alien, but without the actual alien for most of the remaining runtime. Of course someone gets his face grabbed by one of the eels, and the guy trying to cut the eel off is causing the eel's acid blood to squirt all over the place, hitting him. Elizabeth's boyfriend also gets violently sick, adding some light body horror to the movie, and eventually being prevented to board the ship as Theron's character is threatening him with a flamethrower. Knowing that worse is yet to come, the boyfriend gets burned. But later on, the other attacked scientist turns into some kind of mutant zombie and attacks the other crew members when they try to get out of the Prometheus. but he is also killed by the captain. As this is an American spaceship, the crew was of course packing heat and can just take a whole arsenal with them. From there on, the movie gets much less enjoyable as it just gets dumber and dumber. As it is revealed earlier in the movie, Wayland, who was believed to be dead, has secretly also boarded the ship, with some of his own people which only Theron's character is aware of, who is actually his daughter. Wayland also believed in Shaw and that she found the engineers and that they created humans. The captain shares his theory about the engineers to Shaw, that this is a weapons testing ground and the biological weapon has been out of control, killing all engineers. Shaw and most of the crew still join Wayland and they walk to the engineer's base, and David is able to make the last living engineer wake up. He talks to him in an ancient language, but is decapitated immediately. Most of the crew are also killed and Shaw escapes together with Theron's character, who joins Idris back to the Prometheus. But after Shaw tells him that the engineers want to escape and probably kill all of humanity, Idris Elba's character and for some reason two other crew members sacrifice themselves by ramming the engineer's ship, also killing Theron's character when she crash lands with a space lifeboat and then can't run to the side when the stupid spaceship drops. Also, Shaw has escaped and tries to get to another space lifeboat, when the engineer turns out to be alive and just a little bit crispy from the crash of his ship, and he tries to kill her of course. But she had also been impregnated with something on the planet and has the thing removed from her body earlier in the movie, and it turned into some tentacle monster which kills the engineer. Shaw hears David's head contacting her and she goes to him taking one of the engineer's spaceships and promises to find the reason why they wanted to kill humanity. Something which I think was neglected in the following installments so far, but I will revisit that one as well and see. In a post-credit scene we also see that the engineer has birthed a kind of alien-esque creature bursting out of his torso, screaming as the movie finally ends. Well, it wasn't quite as bad as I remembered, but it surely is one of the weakest installments. Like most Alien movies, after the second one it has a lot of potential though. It adds to the world building of the Alien world, and to be honest, I would be more interested in a show about the Weyland-Yutani Corporation that is shown here, how it works and what they do, when they don't try and fail to capture an alien again. The cast is also pretty good, but not that well used. Noomi Rapace as Shaw stays pretty pale throughout the movie, but that basically counts for everyone in this film. Guy Pearce's character appearance as Peter Weyland in this movie is just bizarre, and I don't know what they would try to achieve here. And with his daughter, it feels like they created something that could have been explored more, but both characters are hardly used in the story, so this feels kind of pointless. I also have to say that I really don't like the engineer's design. It's just so unimaginative in a series like Alien. With such an iconic creature with a great design, it feels odd to introduce a new big bad that is just a huge dude. And they are hyped up to basically be gods, but when one of them enters the scene, he just beats people to death, not even realizing that he didn't fully destroy the android. What a dumb motherfucker. Even the clothes he wears are stupid. Having eels, a tentacle monster and an alien knockoff are also just bizarre choices, but it at least feels like they were trying to show some kind of evolution. But as I said, they neglected after this entry. Prometheus is a mixed bag. It had some potential, but in the end it's just a letdown in several aspects. The directing, most of the effects and the actors themselves are not the big fault here. The script is, promising something grandiose, which in the end it just can't deliver. It's not a complete failure, it's no resurrection, but it's definitely not a good or great movie. And Prometheus gets a 5 out of 10. I'm actually looking forward to Covenant now, and would like to see how that one holds up.
This is wheat. What are the odds of finding human vegetation this far from Earth?
Holy cow, this one was actually continuing the storyline from Prometheus, which I completely forgot. Man oh man, I guess my memory is pretty messed up at this point. Alien Covenant is a movie I thought about being kind of okay, especially in the first half, but then it turns into action schlock in the second half. But upon rewatching it, I realized I had remembered a couple of things the wrong way. Actually, Prometheus was like the first Alien in the first half and then gets super stupid. I mean, plot and logic fall apart more than that stupid engineer's ship in the finale of the movie. Alien Covenant is kind of interesting up to a certain point, and this time I have watched bonus videos for Covenant beforehand, and actually they were interesting, fleshing out certain aspects and improve on the experience. At least in my opinion. But let's talk about the movie itself, shall we? Alien Covenant takes place more than 10 years after the events of Prometheus and follows a colonial spaceship called the Covenant. But once the crew wakes up, there are complications. Unfortunately, the captain of the ship dies due to these complications, and the movie at least gets rid of a potential predator. But his girlfriend Danny, played by Catherine Waterston, is obviously pretty shocked by this event. As the crew is still struggling with these events, they detect a broadcast from an uncharted planet and decide to explore this planet instead of traveling to the initially planned destination, which is Origay 6. On the planet they find an alien spaceship. Some of the crew members are also getting infected with some spores on the planet, which create the alien form known from the end of Prometheus, or an evolution of the creature. It viciously attacks everyone it encounters and causes the death of several crew members. The surviving crew members are saved by a mysterious stranger who turns out to be David, the android from Prometheus, and an older model of the android Walter. Also, for some reason, David has long hair now. David explains that years ago he and Elizabeth Shaw, the protagonist of the previous movie, arrived at the planet, looking for the engineers and accidentally dropping a pathogen which killed everything it encountered or turned them into hybrid monsters. Then they crashed and Elizabeth died. Meanwhile, the Covenant is getting closer to the planet, getting ready to pick up the survivors. On the planet, it slowly becomes clear that something is wrong with David, and another alien creature is loose, killing crew members. But David is not scared of the monster. He even tries to calm it down and control it. But the new captain shoots the creature, asking for answers from David, who is willing to give him just that. As it turns out, David has lost his mind, obsessed with creating something he tried to create a new life form, just like the engineers did, and was working on creating the alien, the xenomorph. He even has come so far that there are several eggs hidden in a cave in his quarters. The captain gets attacked by a facehugger and the alien soon is bursting out of him. David feels alive now. He has created something. But Walter is trying to stop him, just to be seemingly killed by his fellow android, who gets pretty handsy with Danny. But Walter is able to stop him before worse is happening. The crew tries to escape now, as the alien and David are chasing them. In the last minute they escape. But the alien is jumping on the Covenant, but can be fought off by Danny. Just when they think they are safe, another alien is on board and kills the last surviving crew members. Besides Danny and Tennessee, played by Danny McBride, the killed crew members were enjoying a sex shower as if this was Jason X or something like that, which felt extremely out of place. Really, I don't know what they were thinking, but same goes for the kung fu fight, which the two androids are having right before everyone escapes on the Covenant. Yeah, the finale is pretty much a fast-forwarded reenactment of the first Alien, but with guns. Eventually they are able to push the alien out of a chute into space and get rid of it. But just when everything seems to be fine again, Walter reveals that he is actually David, and while they are targeting Origay 6, again David is placing some alien embryos near the colonists, who are pretty much doomed. Well, this was about as good as I remembered. It is really close to be a genuinely good movie, but is dragged down a bit by some pretty dumb moments again. The action schlock, or schlock in general, was less than I thought. Just about the last half hour or so is too over the top, but up until then, it's good, I would say. I was engaged into the story pretty much, and to be honest, it was scratching at the 7-point mark for most of the movie. The actors are doing a pretty good job, especially Fassbender of course. But Catherine Waterston, Billy Crudup and Danny McBride, which is surprising, do all a pretty good job. Guy Pearce is also having a short appearance and James Franco simply dies here as soon as he appears, which makes this probably one of his best roles. He is in one of the shorts though, and after having seen these shorts, I have to say these improve the viewing quite a bit. They mostly flesh out certain elements of the story and give the characters more time to be established. While Prometheus was already shot beautifully, I think Covenant looks even more stunning at times. As I said, I really like it up to a certain point, until the androids start punching each other. There are interesting themes, and while they immediately kill off most plot lines from Prometheus, the stories that are here are interesting. It's once again creation, but not in the sense of the human origins and some stupid engineers, but a being that itself was created by humans and wants desperately to create something himself and love it and be loved. A creature that shouldn't feel starts feeling and desires to be loved. It has also a better written characters than Prometheus in my opinion, and better performances. Fassbender is of course the standout, but McBride was a surprise as well, even though he gets important only later on. This time they try to focus only on a couple of people and not the entire crew, which probably also helped. And when the credits rolled, I thought it's kind of a pity that they abandoned the storyline. Even though these movies are not as great as the original Alien movies, Covenant at least came close to Aliens in my opinion. It's no masterpiece, but I did have a pretty good time watching it, and Alien Covenant gets a 6 out of 10, being very close to a 7. I might bump it up when I watch it next time. We'll see. You can follow me on Letterboxd and see if this ever changes. If you want to check out the other Alien movies I reviewed, you can check out the playlist. And next up, we will have a look at the spin-offs. That's right, the AVP movies.
For your hard work and your courage. We're making history here.
This is wheat. What are the odds of finding human vegetation this far from Earth?
Who planted it? You hear that?
What?
Nothing. No birds. No animals. Nothing.